We're getting right into it for our next top 8 match going on between Meaghan Rattla and James Beck. Both accomplished players looking to try and make it into the top 4 here at the London Pokemon World Championships. I'm really excited for this, and it's the teams that we have, the storylines with these players, it's fantastic all around. Well, here it is. Starting the lead, it is going to be the Kyogre and the Indeedee on James's side, faring off against the Kyogre on the other end for Meaghan, but with the Grimmsnarl.
And that Indeedee, as we were mentioning in team preview, is this generation's premier redirector with Follow Me, taking away attacks that would be targeted for its teammates. Instead, would be targeting down the Indeedee female. And thanks to the Psychic Seed, we now know that it's held item. It's going to boost its special defense by 1 stage, which is very important when you are facing down against a Kyogre. So James doesn't have as much value out of Follow Me, as Kyogre typically uses spread attacks like Origin Pulse or Water Spout that would not be redirected, but thankfully for James, he will take less damage, so Indeedee can be on the field for longer, potentially. And now we are going to get a Dynamax on turn 1 on James's end, so he is going all out.
Yeah, that Dynamax Kyogre to apply this pressure so quickly. I mean, the Water Spouts and the Origin Pulses are great, but the Max Geysers can definitely do some damage, or some of the coverage moves that Kyogre might have. Indeedee, though, instead, potentially fearing that it was thinking it was going to get targeted into, is going to go for the Protect. The special defense might be raised for the Indeedee, but it'll be a special defense increase all around as the light screen is going to get set up by this Grimmsnarl. Now, the Kyogre on James's side is going to be moving first, and that is going to be a huge hit into this Grimmsnarl. Now, it'll just be the Origin Pulse coming out from me, nothing into the Indeedee, and just a little bit of chip onto the Kyogre.
Meaghan's Grimmsnarl would not have survived that turn if it were not for the light screen, so that was obviously imperative there, and now you're able to stick around for another turn, going for whatever you want. You could try to set up a Reflect for later on, but also for James, if he does not have the information on Meaghan's Grimmsnarl, is it the Light Clay variant where those screens are able to last for 8 turns instead of 5 turns? Potentially the trick that we've seen so often on Grimmsnarl as well. James is going to have to use that or find out that information here in game 1.
All about setting up the screens, but the helping hand from the Indeedee onto the Kyogre suggests it was going to be something more than just a Max Geyser to finish off the Grimmsnarl. Instead, the Max Lightning hitting into the Kyogre onto Meaghan's end. Considering that it was a helping hand boosted Max Lightning, taking it quite well, so you can have a considerable an idea of what that item is going to be. Now another round of Origin Pulse is coming out. No Dynamax used, and these Pokemon on James's end getting chipped down. And
look at Indeedee with that special defense boost. It's taken 2 Origin Pulses, and it's just, right around half of its HP. So James has really trained his Indeedee female to be such a huge counter to these big special attackers in the format like Kyogre.
A Follow Me to make sure if it was a single target, it was not going to be heading into that Kyogre, as the Max Lightning first will finish off this Kyogre on Meaghan's side once and for all. Now, the Grimmsnarl with the opportunity to fire something back, and it will be this Spirit Break that is going to do even more to the Indeedee. It's still going to be sticking around, though, and causing a nuisance.
And James was always safe with his Kyogre there. Like, sure, he took a lot of damage from Meaghan from those Origin Pulses, but he knew Meaghan could never knock it out because of the redirection option. So the Kyogre couldn't even try to go for Thunder or Dynamax and Max Lightning there, because at any point it could just have been redirected into the Indeedee. Now Indeedee has been brought so low that pretty much any attack you would want to go for would be able to knock it out, and Thundurus is here for Meaghan. We said it was great into Celesteela. The Thundurus is also good in this spot into a Kyogre and a low health Indeedee. Might be time for Indeedee to take one for the team so that Kyogre does not have to eat a Max Lightning or a potential Max Airstream as well.
Yeah, as that Max Thundurus is in a prime position to be dealing out some damage. Both of the Pokemon on James's end would not fare well against a hit from this whatsoever. This end, another Follow Me. Pretty standard. There's no more spread moves. You want to make sure that that Kyogre sticks around for just one more turn. The Max Airstream to at least get the speed boost over on Meaghan's end is so nice. You finish off the KO, you get yourself a speed boost, and you can start setting yourself up for next turn.
Yeah, you're going to have that speed boost for whatever switches in. The only thing that would give you more priority would be the Rillaboom, but it's not going to be doing too much damage there, even if you did do that.
Well, the Water Spout isn't going to be doing that much damage either. At least it's accurate, so you can make sure that you're going to be picking up this KO onto the Grimmsnarl and deal some damage into the Thundurus slot, but not nearly as devastating thanks to the damage done from the Origin Pulses on Meaghan's end. Now it's going to be Zacian for both players hitting the field.
Yeah, Zacian Mirror, this game is not wrapped up. Meaghan still is losing the Pokemon count, but these are arguably the two Pokemon she wants on the field at this point, as you still have Thundurus with turns of Dynamax remaining to click Max Airstream or Max Lightning now that the Kyogre does not have the Indeedee to redirect it away. And you always have to worry about those Zacian speed, those speed matchups as who is trained to be faster than the other, or if it is, just a toss-up.
Well, what's more dangerous than a fast Zacian could be a strong Zacian. A Max Knuckle, as opposed to going for another round of Max Airstream, maybe looking to see if there is going to be a Pokemon caught in on the swap, but it'll at least grab an attack boost going on forward. And now that this Zacian, Meaghan is going to be attacking first, we'll see just how effective that attack boost was. Not enough, though. 4 HP left for the Zacian on James's end, and now it has a chance to deal some real damage back. It's going to hit into the Thundurus, that double damage. It's going to be well worth picking up that KO, plus the critical hit. The
critical hit, double damage that Behemoth Blade provided on that turn is gigantic for James. Also hanging out with 4 HP, that's a +2 Zacian because of the Max Knuckle that was not able to knock it out in one hit there. So a gigantic turn. I really thought that was a very cheeky play from Meaghan. I'll give her credit, going for Max Knuckle, even though it didn't get the knockout onto Kyogre because it was going to give you the attack boost. You thought you were 4 hit points away from the play working out in your favor.
Yeah, it was so close just going out for that offensive, but those clutch survivals sometime, and now it's a 3-1 Pokemon advantage. A protect from it coming out from James onto his Zacian as the Behemoth Blade just targets into that. Now this Kyogre has the chance to be firing off an attack. The Thunder is going to hit, and it's going to be boosted thanks to this electric terrain, dealing a considerable amount of damage and bringing the Zacian real low.
And that was, I believe the rain actually stopped. So that was actually the, what we call like a raw Thunder, just a bare, regular accuracy, 70% accuracy Thunder there, no boost to it there. Or there, it's actually accuracy, I should say. Now the Behemoth Blade, you got to just choose one of these low health targets to knock out, and Meaghan deciding the other Zacian on the other side. This does let James get the free switch into his 4th Pokemon at this point, though.
Yeah, but the Ice Beam, the accuracy is going to be there, and so is the KO. Not very effective, but not going to matter. In this case, James to take game number 1 in the top 8 match.
And the worry you have on Meaghan's end with your physical attackers like Landorus and like Zacian is if you leave them in against the Dynamax Kyogre, they're not going to have a good time. As your attacks being redirected just to take care of Indeedee, that's exactly what James wants. Yes, focus on my Indeedee instead of my Kyogre, so Meaghan can't fall for that trap.
A lead so nice, you have to go for it twice, as that Indeedee and Kyogre making a reappearance, but it's going to be all the same for both players. So from Meaghan, it's going to be an adjustment with how she plays this out.
And I believe, if I'm counting my turns right, the Light Screen and Reflect did not last 8 turns. I don't think we got to 8 turns in that match. It's very hard to get all the way through that many turns in VGC typically. So now that James, if he did not know what the held item is on Grimmsnarl, you can rule out the Light Clay, which could have potentially turned the tide if you had Reflect up for longer or Light Screen up for longer. Now you have to try to figure out if it is that trick set, how do you get around it?
The first adjustment coming out from James's end is no Dynamax in sight, and instead with that helping hand. This is going to make sure this Water Spout can do as much damage as possible through the Light Screen set up on Meaghan's end. It will be taking down this Grimmsnarl.
Yeah, and there was no critical hit there, so last time it just barely hung on. It looked like it was a damage roll. This time it got the KO.
Now a Thunder in retaliation, though, and that is going to do heaps of damage. The critical hit, and Kyogre going down on James's side of the field.
Grimmsnarl for Kyogre is a trade Meaghan will take every day and twice on Sundays. That is a gigantic turn for her as the Kyogre and Zacian, or excuse me, the Zacian on James's end will be the switch in. You still do have to worry about the redirection, but now that the Kyogre's not there, nothing resists your water spouts, nothing resists your Origin Pulse on the field right now. The rain is up, so you're totally okay with just going for those spread attacks. And what does James have in the back to be able to stop that damage? Kyogre already has lost some HP, so those water spouts will not be as beneficial as the Origin Pulses can be, and Origin Pulse can miss.
Yeah, and at this point, too, both of the Pokemon on Meaghan's end can do so much damage, where this Indeedee, yes, you can make sure that a Behemoth Blade is going to be retargeted, so you're not going to be having your Zacian take that, but you can't redirect the spread damage moves from the Kyogre. So then you have to decide for the Zacian on James's end where you're going to prioritize targeting, whether it'll be that Kyogre to get rid of that restricted or into your opponent's Zacian. We have to find out, though, after Meaghan's Zacian is going to be attacking and hitting into this Indeedee, a lot more damage than those special attacks were over in Game 1. Now, not too much surprise, a Behemoth Blade back, but for this, it will be back into the Zacian. Just a Zacian and Zacian showdown. The Origin Pulse, it will miss, and it's going to miss onto the Zacian, only connecting with the Indeedee. It should be able to pick up the KO, but no damage done to the Zacian whatsoever.
That is a disaster for Kyogre and Meaghan's end to not get that damage onto the Zacian from Origin Pulse. And we knew without the critical hit, Zacian was not able to get it this time like it was in the previous game. Would not be able to get the one-hit KO onto the opposing Zacian, I should say Meaghan's Zacian slot there. So you knew you just wanted to get it down into what we'd call chip range for a priority Grassy Glide in grassy terrain to be able to do the remaining hit points or a damage left that you would need to knock out the Zacian. But Rillaboom really enjoys facing down both of Meaghan's Pokemon right now, right? The Kyogre, you can hit it with the Grassy Glides as well, or you can try to just get rid of the Zacian so Zacian cannot knock out your own on this turn.
Well, the Kyogre is going to go in Dynamax for the thing to go and just live through whatever, getting that double HP boost and be able to deal out a bunch of damage. And now the Zacian also going to go for Protect, making sure not going to fall in the wrong end of the Fake Out. No Fake Out in sight, though. It will be the Grassy Glide, bringing it so low, but because of that, Dynamax will hang on. It wasn't a double target either. Instead, the Kyogre does get to stick around. Now this Max Geyser, this one is not going to miss, ladies and gentlemen. That is going to do so much to the Zacian, but holds on 1 HP.
That's the invisible focus sash coming out for James. We know it's obviously holding the sword as its held item, as every Zacian has to get that attack boost. So just naturally hanging on with 1 HP on James's end could be what he needs to move on to top 4. Even if it did get knocked out, you still have these 2 low health Pokemon that the Rillaboom would like to Grassy Glide into. The problem for James is he has not used his Dynamax yet, and once you do, you then lose that priority because it turns into Overgrowth, so this could still be hairy.
The quick attack will at least clean up the KO onto the Zacian, but it does mean that that is where your move is going to be wasted into the turn. Instead of hitting into the Kyogre, though, it is going to finish off the Zacian. So the quick attack to outspeed to make sure you can grab the KO onto the Zacian before the Rillaboom takes you down. And now an Ice Beam, the Kyogre, it is safe this turn. It can go for a huge attack, and Meaghan is going to bring this into a game number 3.
If Meaghan didn't have quick attack, the Grassy Glide would have knocked it out before she was able to get the KO there. So a massive reveal in this moment, and this is going to the game 3. This is all we can ask for on the world stage. The most exciting matches from the best trainers in the world, and they're going to as many games as possible, which is the best for us because that means we get to watch more of this high-level competitive Pokemon VGC. Yeah, that was a trade that Meaghan will willingly take every single time, trading your Grimmsnarl for the opposing Kyogre. And that's the thing that makes Grimmsnarl so annoying to face against is you set up Light Screen, you set up Reflect, whatever supportive moves you want to go for, and then you're asking to get knocked out so that the real threats on the team can come onto the field safely and start doing damage. And if James gives Meaghan that free switch in again, it could be a problem.
Now it's time for game number 3. James looking to make his way back into top 4 of another Pokemon World Championships, and Meaghan looking to break through that ceiling. It'll be the same leads going back into this.
All 3 games, this is what both trainers have opted for, so they really value that this matchup is the best their best option for victory. And you have to wonder, now that you've seen light screen, or through light screen, you can still get knocked out because of the helping hand somewhat negating that light screen there. You have to wonder if that is enough for Meaghan, because it worked out last time. You were able to trade away the Kyogre in response, and if you just make the same decision again, will it work the same way this time?
And a little bit of a different look coming out. We saw the first turn Dynamax from James in game number 1. Meaghan normally has been very conservative about the Dynamax and making sure that she can have it at her disposal later on in the game, but feeling in this game number 3, this is the opportune moment to be using it. We're going to be able to see the same things that have been starting off, that helping hand over from Indeedee, but the Reflect to start things off this turnaround. This is not going to do anything going into previous turns. Maybe trying to set up for later on in the game, knowing the Kyogre will take the hit well anyways, and that the Grimmsnarl are going to be taken out anyways because of the helping hand.
And then this Max Lightning is going to be really strong, obviously, into the Kyogre. And by not helping handing, you have brought it down very low, but not enough for the knockout. But somewhat of a curious, going for Reflect instead of Light Screen is, as you were saying, to try to help you later on when the Zacian and Rillaboom come in, they're going to do less damage. However, if it takes a couple of turns to get those physical attackers out because you still have Kyogre and Indeedee on the field, that can, mean that the Reflect is not going to be as helpful because Meaghan does not have Light Clay. It's not going to have 8 turns of, lowering the physical attacking damage there. So she has brought Zacian into this slot. The Kyogre is very low, but Indeedee is still full HP and still has its Follow Me to redirect the Behemoth Blade into that slot, or potentially a Max Lightning from this Dynamax Kyogre going towards the Indeedee again. So this gives James 1 free turn if you double target the Indeedee, or you're not even going to have that there, for the Kyogre to attack.
Making sure that you're not going to be on the wrong end of the water spout, and make sure that you can try and get to attack it next time, considering the Indeedee will go for that. Instead of the water spout or the Origin Pulse, it'll be the Thunder hitting into Meaghan's Cougar. No, sorry, the way.
He hit the Kyogre, but he knocked itself out because of Life Orb.
There's too much Kyogre. There's so much going on, and this Indeedee taking so much damage from this Max Geyser, bringing it just down to 22 health.
James was very worried about the Protect there not targeting into the Zacian slot, kind of maybe conceding the fact that Kyogre was going to go down that turn, potentially no matter what, because once you attacked, the Life Orb Reclar was gonna knock itself out anyway. So kind of saying, let me get some damage on the way out with my Kyogre, bringing Meaghan's down to under half of its HP. However, the Zacian still is at full HP. Like, if that was an Origin Pulse in the rain into that, it wouldn't have done the damage because Zacian's smartly protected, and Meaghan made the right call there. But now with Rillaboom on the field, this Kyogre is terrified to stay in against it.
Yeah, the Reflect, it was set up on that first turn to make sure that once the Rillaboom came out, it was doing less damage, but still not going to appreciate it. And that'll be the Celesteela making its appearance in this game number 3. Here's the Grassy Glide. Celesteela doesn't mind that any time, takes it so well. Now the Zacian can fire off the Behemoth Blade and take care of this Indeedee once and for all.
No more Follow Me shenanigans in this set. Indeedee female is down. Meaghan does have the Pokemon advantage now with 3-2. And the moment that she Dynamaxed Kyogre on turn 1 made me wonder, did she even bring Thundurus here in game 3? Because typically you like seeing Thundurus as your Dynamaxer. This Celesteela adjustment is really nice because into the Rillaboom and into the Zacian, if all Zacian has are, potentially Behemoth Blade, Play Rough, or a neutral Sacred Sword, you're not doing enough damage to Celesteela. This is the moment we were talking about in team preview. If you can't super effectively deal with the Celesteela, sometimes you can't deal with it at all.
Yeah, and considering how game number 2 went, we didn't actually get to see the 4th Pokemon from Meaghan. So it was great information coming into this, great lack of information in this game number 3, being able to bring that pick out now. But James still has Dynamax on his side, and it'll be that Gigantamax Rillaboom. Another Protect from the Zacian from Jameson. going to take advantage of a little bit of a passive turn and set up a substitute.
This Max Quake is going to go into the Protect, but curiously, if Celesteela, who usually runs like Leech Seed, Leftovers, Protect, things that stall, if you try to Leech Seed into that slot with the substitute, you're not going to be, it's not going to be as great for Meaghan compared to going for a regular attack there because it failed. So perfect sub from James.
That's the thing with the Celesteela. It can have the longevity in the matches, but it needs that Leech Seed to have that capability of doing so. At least, though, that is a turn of Gigantamax from James that is done. It is nice because you get the special defense boost, which maybe with the Celesteela could be useful. The thing is, the Zacian didn't really take much damage, and that one turn of Dynamax is gone.
But if Zacian doesn't have something like Wild Charge, which I don't think we've actually seen at all this weekend. We've seen more quick attacks than wild charges, so if you don't have something super effective like that, you'll have to slowly whittle down that Celesteela, and every turn you protect and try to recover up, it's just going to be such a difficult battle as well.
Making sure the substitute can't get broken with that protect, and that means that Meaghan's Behemoth Blade is not going to do anything into that. And now Zacian, no protect on Meaghan's end, is going to be taking a lot more damage thanks to this Max Quake. The Celesteela, it can't go for the Leech Seeds because of the substitute, and there was that reliance that the Behemoth Blade was going to connect. That was a great protect coming out from James.
Yeah, I think the protect is good there, and these last two turns of Max Quaking from the Rillaboom have helped because typically the only, in these slower Celesteela sets, the only attack they have is Flamethrower, and Rillaboom as a grass type obviously doesn't want to see that. So if you can get your special defense boosted up there, it's going to help you take that damage from the Flamethrower even better.
Finally, this Behemoth Blade is going to land, but it will attack into this Rillaboom instead. So much damage being done, bringing it down to 62. The assumption that the Behemoth Blade was hitting into this Zacian on James's end means the substitute is going to be doing absolutely nothing. The Max Quake into the Zacian, and now it's going to be down to the Celesteela. Obviously, for Meaghan, you know that you're not going for the Leech Seed. You didn't make an attempt to go for this substitute, so we're going to find a little bit more out from this set and what it has to offer, and that will be substitute in response.
Anything you can do, I can do better from Celesteela substituting on this turn. And what can James do with this low health Rillaboom and this Zacian that is not really able to target a Celesteela behind sub? It's 2-2 right now in the Pokemon count, but it feels like such a gigantic advantage for Meaghan. These 3 turns that James has been behind substitute have not really provided him with any benefit, and being forced to Dynamax Rillaboom in this game compared to the Kyogre or something else that's usually a better Dynamax attacker has not helped James either, because you can't Dynamax Zacian, right? Obviously it's unable to, and just those Max Quakes, it took forever to finally KO the Zacian there on Meaghan's end. So I'm really loving this Celesteela adjustment in Game 3.
Yeah, and the Celesteela seems to be primed in a really nice spot. Sure, if you're able to get that sub broken at some point onto the opposing Zacian to set up the Leech Seed, it'll be really nice. The Kyogre was all a formality. Sure, it'll hit the field, but with the Grassy Glide priority is not going to be able to do much. Now, Sacred Sword from the Zacian from behind the Protect. They hit into the Celesteela to break this one down. Now it's 2v1, but the Flamethrower for the attacking move from the Celesteela is going to hit into the Rillaboom. The Max Quake boost, though, were so effective. The Rillaboom is not going to be picked up.
And the rain.
In the rain as well. So no damage being done, and the Rillaboom is going to stick around.
The rain actually costing Meaghan the knockout on that turn because of it. Now, the Zacian on James's end is still safe. It's been up for, the substitute's been up for like 4 turns at this point, and the Sacred Sword is a neutral attack. It's not doing the most damage in the world, but it is breaking the substitute on Meaghan's end every time, so now you can't even safely go for that any turns.
And that's a considerable amount of damage considering the bulk that you're going to want from this Celesteela. Now the Grassy Glide, not priority because of a lack of grassy terrain, going to be the critical hit to be dealing too much, not enough for you to feel comfortable with whatsoever if you're with Meaghan, especially since you don't have Leech Seed, you haven't picked up this KO, and things are getting dire.
And there was no burn there on that turn from the Flamethrower. So the Celesteela now is so low that even if you're hardly doing any damage for James, it is still going to be enough eventually to take it down.
And there it is, Sacred Sword to clean it up. The Celesteela endgame not going to work out this time. Just a couple too many things up against it. Unable to get that lead seed. Unable to be picking up those KOs. Just always falling a little short of closing out that game 3. And now James Beck back in top 4 of the Pokemon World Championships.